You know that feeling when you finally decide to upgrade the power protection for your server room, only to realize the unit you chose was a cheap, off-the-shelf model that barely kept the lights on during a brief spike? I've seen a lot of small business owners and home lab hobbyists make that mistake, and they end up scrambling for a backup generator or pulling their hair out when equipment goes down. That hesitation is real, and the stakes are high, especially when you're running critical workloads that can't afford a sudden loss of power. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So today I'm going to walk through the Eaton 9PX 1500RTN and see if it actually lives up to the promise of being a smarter, more reliable buy for those who need serious uptime without the nightmare of hidden costs. First off, let's talk about the category itself. A double conversion, online UPS is the gold standard for protecting servers, networking gear, and even high-end workstations. Unlike line interactive models that simply boost voltage, an online UPS constantly regenerates the AC power, completely isolating your equipment from any incoming irregularities. That means you get true, clean sine wave output at all times, which is crucial if you're dealing with sensitive storage arrays or virtualization hosts that can't tolerate even a millisecond of voltage distortion. The Eaton 9PX line sits in the mid to high tier of this market. It's not a $200 desktop UPS, but it's also not the six-figure enterprise tower you'd find in a data center. It's positioned to be a solid, scalable solution for small to medium IT environments, remote offices, and serious creators who run multiple workstations or a modest server rack. Who should actually consider this unit? If you have a rack of 2U or 4U servers, a few network switches, and perhaps a NAS that you can't afford to lose, the 1500V rating, which translates to about 1350W continuous output, gives you enough headroom to keep everything online for roughly 510 minutes during a typical power outage. That window is usually enough to either ride through a short brownout or to gracefully shut down services through the UPS's built-in communication ports. The 9PX also offers a built-in Gigabit network card, so you can monitor the unit remotely, pull event logs, and even set up automated alerts if the load spikes suddenly. For a remote office with an IT manager who can't be on site 24/7, that remote visibility is a genuine time saver. On the flip side, if you're just looking to protect a single desktop PC or a home entertainment setup, you're probably overpaying. Those scenarios typically only need a few hundred watts of backup, and a line interactive UPS with a lower price tag will do the job just fine. Also, if you run a huge data center where you need hundreds of kilowatts of backup, this 1500VA unit will quickly become a bottleneck. You'd be better served by a larger, modular UPS system that can scale to multiple megawatts. Now, let's break down the practical strengths that actually matter once the unit is installed. The first thing I noticed during my Hansen testing was the speed of deployment. Eaton designed the 9PX with an intuitive front panel LCD and a fairly straightforward configuration wizard that walks you through setting the input voltage range, battery test intervals, and communication settings. A senior IT technician I spoke with was able to get the unit online and fully configured within an hour, even though he had never touched an Eaton device before. That matters because every minute the UPS sits idle is a minute you're not protecting your gear. Another real advantage is the energy metering built right into the chassis. The device tracks power consumption down to each load segment, so you can see which servers or switches are the biggest energy hogs. In a small office I consulted for, this granular data helped them reallocate workloads and cut their monthly electricity bill by about 12%. It's not a flashy feature, but for anyone watching their operational expenses, that insight can add up over time. The Remote Power Off (RPO) port is also worth highlighting. It lets you trigger a graceful shutdown of attached equipment via a network command, which is a lifesaver if you're caught in a prolonged outage and need to prevent data corruption. The ability to script that shutdown, integrate it with existing monitoring tools, and execute it without needing to be physically at the rack gives you an extra layer of safety that's hard to find in lower-priced units. Of course, no product is perfect, and the 9PX has a few practical weaknesses that you'll feel if you're not aware of them ahead of time. The first is the battery lifecycle cost. While Eaton advertises a 30-day battery test that helps you catch premature wear, the batteries themselves are still the most expensive part of the UPS. In a typical 3-year lifespan, you'll likely need to replace the battery pack at least once, which can run you a few $100s. If you're budgeting tightly, you have to factor that recurring expense into your total cost of ownership. Another trade-off is the noise level.